2, 1. And I think that we should be live and up and running. Looks like it. Alright, sweet. Alright, first broadcast on this new computer of mine, so I will say out of the gate to anyone watching, please give me feedback if anything seems off or needs changed. Please let me know. But, on that note though, welcome back to IMRC. We had an off week last week. Hope everyone had a happy Easter yesterday. But now we're back at it here with the first race of the chase. And we're starting off with the doozy. Watkins Glen, the only road course of the season. And it's the boot version, no less. So something a little different. Bit of a curveball for everybody. 14 drivers, though, looking to tackle it. And 10 chase drivers looking to see what they can do to help their hopes in getting to the final four at the end of the season. To join me for this one, though, a couple of familiar faces. Blake is back with me once again.
Yeah, glad to be back, everyone. Wish that Daytona went a little bit better, but I'm very happy to be back here for the rest of the season with Andrew and tonight with Cole, and looking forward to seeing a great rest of the season.
Right on. And, yep, you heard her mention Cole. That is Seth Cole, the FRN guy himself.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see the playoffs precursor, if you will, and then the regular season finale to determine the playoff contenders. Now we get to find out who takes that first step towards the championship.
Absolutely. I'm 99% sure that it is win and you're in. If you're a chase driver and you win here tonight, you will secure a spot in the final four. Albeit that's a bit of a conundrum, because what if 5 playoff drivers win?
Then I believe it would come down to best average finish or second place finishes, so.
And lovely timing for a spam phone call to be taking place. I apologize for that. I'm going to let that shut up before I go down the starting order. But, are you done? You're not going to leave some weird message saying that my car's warranty is expired? No? Okay, good. So, after that little bit right there, we'll look at the starting order here. Dylan Schwallenberg is on pole by a fair margin, looking like the favorite going into this one. Austin Ogo will be starting alongside of him. Roger Ray is third. All three of those guys are playoff drivers. Henry Nova and Chris Wetz are fourth and fifth. They are non-playoff drivers, but looking to make some noise. Natan Amoito, of course, we've seen him in the booth a few times, starting in sixth. Tristan Allen, who is filling in for Alexander Gonzalez, who is a playoff driver. So whatever Tristan does here, I believe that the half points rule still applies.
Most likely. I will double check the points and see what the situation is, and see who's in and who's out. Apologies, as I'm still listening in on to the rules and everything like that, so can't focus on anything else but that.
I will let you focus on that. That is just fine. Starting in eighth, though, Cody Lamas, who came just short to make the chase, but still looking for some good stuff for the postseason. Dun LaPrade was the last driver who took a lap time. Will be starting in ninth, also playoff driver, as is Tyler Mallon, Dejan Weeks. Cole Baker is filling in for Robbie Gilvin, and then Shane Sides and Felipe Teixeira.
I think YouTube's calling you to find out if this stream's going to meet the guidelines or something.
Well, based on the stream of degeneracy that I did, I don't blame them. No, that's actually my... Okay, that was actually my grandmother. Okay, good, they answered it. Golly, I need to get that thing out of my room whenever I do these. I am very sorry, everybody. I'm a popular man. What can I say? As Blake is still taking in what the rules are, because there are different rules that apply for road courses, we do know for sure that the Race will be 25 laps in length. Pit speed 40. And Seth, I'll come to you because you've adminned quite a few road course races in your time. What's usually the mentality behind some of the like some of the different rules that might apply?
Well, I think obviously for a number of drivers here that you see up towards the top of the qualifying, Dylan Schwallenberg, Austin Ogo, I think Roger Ray is a bit of a dark horse. These are drivers that thrive on the road courses. But I'll tell you what, I think there's a bit of a curveball thrown into this for everybody for two reasons. Number one, this is the first points race at a road course configuration this season for these drivers. The only other road course that they drove, and if you want to call it a road course, was Bristol Motor Speedway with steel guardrails in the middle of the straightaways at Ram Ranch. That was the exhibition non-points event that started out the season. So this is the first time these drivers had a road course this season based off of points paying races. The other thing is, too, you already brought it up. Most drivers, when they race at Watkins Glen, they're used to the 7-corner Watkins Glen, but this has the boot configuration, so you're actually adding in 4 extra corners for these drivers. Now, I was watching these drivers. They did perfectly fine when they came off the final corner, down to the hard right-hander in turn 1, all the way to what we call the carousel over at turn 5. But once they started getting to the boot, they're not used to those specific turns. Even some of the drivers up there towards the top of our qualifying results were struggling. So these drivers here tonight, it's almost as if you take the same route to work and all of a sudden there's a detour one day and you have to take an alternate route. These drivers, it's kind of thrown them a little bit of an extra confusion on just how to approach those corners, and so whoever's been able to adapt the best here in practice is probably going to be the one to watch to take this checkered flag.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. Of course, that race that Seth was mentioning was won by William Goss, who is not here tonight, so going to be a bit of a pretty interesting to see who can, as we see Tristan say, "Screw you, boot! I'm gonna do the normal configuration." That is not allowed, of course, come the actual race. But the big difference with the regular configuration of Watkins Glen is it's mostly very high speed. Mainly, probably the final 2 corners in turn 1 are the slowest speed corners, and even then they're still kind of medium speed. The boot is a lot more low speed, so you have a lot more variety in terms of corners with this version. So that's going to be interesting to see who can master that the best. As the admins have kicked it to the race session, we are ready to get this thing going. I'm going to get on and off track so that they can get this thing started. Again, the way that cautions will be coming out is going to be a little bit different. If I heard that correctly, I believe that it is not... It's not just one contact spin that will result in a caution. It has to be... I couldn't tell if it was 2 different incidents or one incident involving more than like 2 cars.
Bit of a mixture of both. So if there is contact, there will be a 1C, which is one incident with contact. You will still get striked for that. But if there is multiple cars involved, it's a 2C, which will bring out the yellow for this case. So just before we go green, I just wanted to go ahead and rattle off the standings. Tyler Mallon, Austin Ogo, and Dylan Schwallenberg are tied for first place with 1,020 points. Dunn LaPrade, Robbie Gilvin, Roger Ray, Natan Muedo are all tied essentially for 4th at 1,010. And here we go. Green flag waves for Watkins Glen.
Yep, underway. Roger Ray, Alexander Gonzalez, and Shane Sides, I believe, were the other drivers in the chase. They just simply did not have wins, so they did not get the point bonuses. Just checking on through the field to see how everyone's looking. This is where things get a little tough up here through the through the S's. Oh.
Yep. And right a little bit off onto the rumble strips. Oh, Wetz is in trouble.
Wetz in big trouble.
Landscaping there.
Saw Tristan Allen in the 63 in a little bit of trouble. He's going to the inside, probably trying to get out of the way a little bit. And there was a bump right there, but they save it. Shane Sides and Tyler Mallon.
And that's scary.
Oh,
that's a one.
That was contact, though.
And
tell if that was I am thinking that that was an accident.
Yeah, and tie them out, yep, letting him have the spot. Now that is what they refer to as the gentleman's rule, where if you do spin someone out, yep, that is an incident, and that will go toward being a strike, but also you have to give the spot back in basically the same fashion that Malin just did right there. But already that has put Malin in a big hole. And for full course caution already.
And I think we actually are getting a restart here.
Yep.
Yeah, that would explain it.
As Cole Baker goes flying out of the stands.
And Blake, I will take this opportunity to ask, what was it that you said about Roger Ray again? You don't even remember.
I honestly can't even remember, to be completely honest.
Roger Ray, here to save the day, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the incident that happened there through the carousel, or the outer loop as others will call it. I mean, that's going to be an area where if they take that bus stop double wide, that's going to be a little bit sketchy because there's tire barriers waiting for you both at the beginning of that inner loop as well as the exit of the inner loop. And those tires are unforgiving. So if contact is made over there, it could easily spell the end of the day for a driver. And of course, if it's a playoff contender, it's certainly not the way they'd want to get their postseason started.
Oh my gosh, you ain't kidding. I think that Malin's breathing a sigh of relief that they got a restart there. So that'll clean the slate. Everyone getting back on track. That is the one and only reset. I'm going to get on and off track once again. I did notice, though, that early on in that run, though, Schwallenberg was already starting to pull away. So 51 looking like the favorite. I'm not exactly sure what the pit window is either. That's one thing that I neglected to look at. But based on past experience, if I had to take a guess with the longer configuration, I would guess probably 15 laps. That sound about right?
I would estimate so. This is a longer racetrack, so it's definitely going to be more aggressive on tires and fuel and everything like that. So very well could be the case.
I'd say 15's about the minimum. Maybe if you save enough, you could stretch it to 18 laps on a tank of fuel. But then again, your tires are going to be screaming at that point too.
Yeah, and regardless of whatever the case may be, as we are back to green once again for the final restart attempt, and already almost 3 wide in the middle of the field. Allen on the inside of that, LaPrade in the middle. There's Lamas really close to the 10 of Dejan Weeks. This is like an F1 restart.
Yeah, but Austin Ogo fared it really, really wide out in that first turn. I thought he was going to hit the wall, but he manages to keep it together.
We just kept an eye on the 2 and the 10 nearly making contact, but they keep it going. A couple playoff drivers there.
Like everybody's going to get themselves formulated single file through the bus stop.
That's probably...
A lot of those drivers really fly up into the air there with the left front when they hit that first rumble strip.
Yeah, those are pretty unforgiving. You got to hit them in just a certain way, otherwise it will send you, like Seth said, into those tire barriers, or worse yet, over the grass. Or actually, no, the tire barrier is definitely worse, but you don't want to go over the grass either, as Sides and Weeks still going at it.
Yeah, for a moment there, I thought that the 10 just blew his motor this early into the race. Nope, just a lot of tire smoke drifting through the gears.
Yeah, that's the thing I was noticing here, Blake, during practice, and you can touch on this. You know, a lot of drivers like to use the anti-lock brake system. They say that it doesn't really wear the tires, but it doesn't slow the car down nearly as quick. Other drivers prefer to have the anti-lock brakes off, but they have to be really careful not to really smoke those front tires.
Oh boy, just a lot of smoke there.
A lot of rear tires spinning right there from a number of drivers. But yeah, that is a really good point there, because the anti-lock brake system, I mean, it works not to not heat up your stuff, but at the same time, you're going to have the problem of possibly hitting the brakes and the car just wanting to keep going. I've been the victim of that a number of times, where I plowed into big ones at Talladega because my anti-lock brakes decided, uh-oh, and I killed everybody, so.
Oh 48 and 2 make contact. Big swooping move by the
Whoa.
10. He's going to take a position, maybe 2.
Look at the 69
there.
on the 48.
Starting to get an idea of who's already struggling. Cody Lamas would be one of them. He lost 3 positions on that lap, actually in just the last couple of corners. Another driver that's actually had a couple of incidents, even though he's still running up in the top 3, and that's Roger Ray. He smoked the tires going into turn 9, and he almost also lost it coming off of the final corner, turn 11. So he's got his hands full for the time being, it seems.
Yeah,
16.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, 16 had a loop around, smashed the outside wall. Car's pretty beat up, but he is still moving.
16, yeah, looking a little front end, looking a little worse for wear there. I'm gonna look really quickly here on stream to see if I can catch that. And yep, there it is coming through the S's. Probably caught a little too much curb, which is definitely easy to do. And yeah, pretty good hit on the front end. But solo car incident. We stay green. And Schwallenberg using up all the racetrack there. But it's working for him at the moment. He's opened up a pretty comfortable gap over the guys behind him.
That he has. I did want to comment on one thing, is that, you know, for a lot of people, we are all used to the NASCAR configuration of this race course. And honestly, in many respects, there really isn't as much of a challenge in regards to having to really hyper adapt to this racetrack. But I have to say this, the boot on a big heavy race car is so difficult to navigate around. The track doesn't really see as much tire wear on these big heavy stock cars. The aerodynamic properties of these vehicles are not as fine-tuned as sports cars like Grand Am or IMSA or anything else like that. So it is a real challenge to get up into that boot. So I think that's where the big factors are going to lie in. Who can be able to navigate and who is typically a pretty good road course racer as it is. And those that are going to struggle are just not great already at Watkins Glen.
One thing I've been noticing here, you know, obviously these drivers very adapted to that NASCAR configuration. I have seen no tire smoke with the brakes in those portions of the racetrack. All the tire smoke has been over mostly from turn 7 over to turn 9. These drivers not quite sure where the braking zone starts, and might be having a little bit of trouble figuring out just which gear is the correct one to be in most of these corners as well, to be able to get the power down.
Roger Ray, I think, tried to figure out where the braking zone was there. Nearly made a pretty good dive on Austin Ogo, but I think thought better of it. Top 3 drivers right now are chase drivers, but sitting there quietly right now. A shout out to Henry Nova in the 37, non-playoff driver, but really lurking and seems to really have it down through some of these low-speed sections. Gets really close to Roger Ray's rear bumper, but then Roger pulls away a little bit. Looks like toward the high-speed section. So, and Chris Wentz even looks like he might be slowly starting to close just a little bit. But even though it's only 25 laps, you see the lap times, they are long. So this is a pretty long race. It still has a fair ways to go. Right now, the top 5 separated by only about 2.8 seconds. So pretty close, all things considered.
And the driver with the fastest lap that time by was actually 5th place Chris Wetz, running in at a 151.176. That is about 8 tenths quicker than race leader Dylan Schwallenberg ran. You can actually start to see the gap is closing from 2nd place up to 1st. What was about maybe 10 car lengths is now less than 4.
I think we just saw a little bit of an okie dokie right there. Dunlap Prad getting the nod from Natan Amoedo, moved the 74 up to 6 now. And lurking behind them is Shane Sides in 8th place right now. Just checking through the rest of the field. Dejon Weeks a little further back in 9th place. Cole Baker in 10th. And Tyler Mallon, surprisingly, sitting back in 11th right now. I haven't seen them run on too many road courses before, so wasn't too sure what to expect coming into this, but I did expect maybe a little bit more out of that, but again, it's still a long ways to go. 63, and Cody Lamas into the tire barrier. A little further back.
Again, he is in the tire barrier again.
Again.
I was just checking earlier. He spun out in in the area near the tire barrier. Didn't hit anything, but lost a lot of ground. And here he is on the second run around. His car is pretty well thrashed.
Looks like he just outbraked himself going into the boot there.
Hey,
Not
guys,
too
we got a
hard.
battle for the lead, and it's a four-way dance. Austin Ogo, Roger Ray, and Henry Nova have reeled in Dylan Schwallenberg, and this could get interesting now when we head towards turn 1 and into the S's, because they're nose to tail.
Oh man, you ain't kidding. Now, here's the interesting.
Whoa!
Oh my
By the
gosh!
7! Oh, he's right on his rear. Ray's gonna shoot to the inside and make a slide job.
Oh man, great move by Roger Ray. Moving the 84 up to second, but man, they were all right on top of each other. And Henry Nova's looking at that going, whoa.
On turn 1, and I don't know if maybe the transition from the track to the rumble strip back to the track was what got Ogo so loose.
Yeah, he got really sideways, but the great wheelman that he is, although he runs a little bit wide right there. I was just going to ask before all that craziness happened, how much time do you gain, whether it's passing or just trying to catch the guy in front of you? How much of that is under braking versus corner exit?
Well, might have touched by the 84.
I think I'll hold that thought for a moment.
Oh my goodness. Up the hill they go.
Ooh, he's got a good run here.
And
Looking to the outside, Roger Ray.
maybe the 51's gonna. No, he's not gonna let him by.
Although the 84 backing up the entry, maybe looking to do the little crossover move.
Right there it is. The 51 slides it. He slides it again.
Hey,
7
did he
slides
ever.
it.
Ooh, little
Minor
drawback.
contact.
And this
Very
is
minor contact.
Lap 5, new leader, Roger Ray, but barely.
Well, he may be leading. Is he going to be leading when they cross back to the stripe?
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh,
Boy.
ooh. Henry Nova with some strategy. Look at that.
Wow.
Coming into pit road.
As the
Austin Ogo.
7 pushes down to the inside, cuts off his nose.
Woo-hoo.
Okay. Sorry. What was your question going to be?
back to the question.
I don't even remember what the question was now. No, it's a matter of at a track like this where oh gosh, look at Ogo here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the question at this rate. Oh my gosh, is he going to really try that going into the cars or the? Jeez.
Oh,
where are we?
boy. In the bus
Sideways.
stop chicane, I think.
Golly, some phenomenal driving from these guys. 84, the 51.
Now, I'm just going to say this because this is part of the rules. If you cut your car too much around this race course, like if you were going 4 tires off, you do run the risk of getting a post-race penalty. So the question is, how many people have violated that, and how many have canceled out? And the 37 has unfortunately retired.
Oh,
Wow.
man, that is a surprise. I mean, unless there's maybe something. Oh my gosh, we got blocked from the 51. He does not want that 7 passing him, but it looks like the 51 really starting to struggle. But he is not letting up, breaking as late as he
he's gonna
can,
loop
but
it!
he's gonna loop it. A bump there from the 71. Actually, kind of righted him a little bit. But yeah, he
We got
looped it
another
pretty
spinner
big.
back there as well. That's Natan Amiedo back in, I believe that's turn 7.
Yeah, looped it there as well. Gonna lose some track position. Didn't look like it was from contact. But the 51.
Tell you what I'm noticing right now that all these drivers are struggling with, and that is rear grip. It looks like Schwallenberg's actually coming to pit lane. So too is Chris Wetz in the 71. I mean, these guys have been smoking those rear tires, especially off of turn 9, heading onto the straightaway of turn 10. I think that really is playing a factor into just how much grip they've got for the long run, and might have led to a couple of those spins on that last lap.
That is a very fair point. We've seen how much wheel spin they're getting in those low-speed corners. Now back to the. I will ask the question now that I have the chance to. Is how
Ask
mu-
it quick.
Yeah, really quick. How much of the lap time at this track is under braking versus maybe trying to get the better exit?
That's actually a really good question. I've raced at Watkins Glen a lot of times, and frankly, I think like the big moving zones, especially turn 1, that extra runoff area, that can really get you approached on the right area. So to navigate the S's and everything. So I can't really say if it's necessarily under braking. I think it's just the proper balance of the car. You don't want the back end shifting too much. You don't want the front end on the nose peaking too much. You just got to find the right balance. And when everything body-wise evens out, then you can punch it and then you can go for it. That's the best description I can give, honestly.
Just based off what I've been seeing of these drivers so far in these first 7 laps, I think over in the normal configuration from turn 1 over to turn 5, I think a lot of that is based off of corner exit. I think that it's a little bit more about corner entry and not really having to get back to the throttle as soon as you necessarily think over in the areas of the boot, just based on the fact that if you get back to the throttle too soon, it leads to the wheel spin that we've been seeing a lot of drivers deal with.
Yeah, some of these guys have really been struggling with it. Ogo really lit it up coming out of the boot that time, but that time he just ran his quickest lap of the race, so 51.2. Chris Sweats, though, I just noticed just a moment ago, and it looks like he may have called it quits, because he was sitting on pit road. Oh, no, there he is. He was sitting on pit road for an awfully long time, and it didn't even look like they were doing anything. I don't know if that was damage repair or what was going on with 71. Some pretty good cars that are seeing some kind of bizarre pit road deals that have really left them in a hole. But right now, Ogo starting to hound the 84 a little bit. These guys have been staying out. So now it's just going to be a matter of what strategy is going to work the best. Because those guys are pitted early. Obviously, they're making the best lap time right now. But is that going to pay off for them later? Or will they gain a big enough gap? There goes Ray kicking it sideways. He's still kicking it sideways, struggling to hang on to that thing. I think that Ogo is going to be looking to pounce here any moment.
He makes a peek to the inside, but and a car probably off in the dirt. Yes, 71 of Chris Wetz off into the kitty lit on.
Oh man, he is deep in that stuff, which yeah, that is hard to get out of. You gotta pretty much throw it into neutral and then just mat the throttle to get the wheels spinning and get out. Whoa!
And unfortunately, tire barriers ain't your friend either. And there goes 71. 71 has dropped out of the race.
71 joins the 37 and 48 behind the wall. That was actually kind of a bizarre spin there. Maybe he just realized, oh, I'm not going to make this corner, so I'm just going to kick it into the litter and just hope for the best. But,
the thing I'm noticing here, too, if you look at the 3 drivers that are retired at this point, all non-playoff contenders. So I know obviously it's not considered a luxury, but they do at least kind of have that choice. So if they want to call it quits early, there's no repercussions as far as the championship. I think if you're a playoff contender and you run into an incident, you still got to run all the laps because you don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 races.
Absolutely that. Dun the Proud is now in pit road, kind of cutting the strategy up the middle by the looks of it. Getting 4 tires. I'm checking in on Dylan Schwallenberg here. Looks like he's about to complete his first proper timed lap here, and it's a 51.6, which is not that much faster than the 7.
Sorry there for that that little bit of a shout out, but Austin Ogo nearly lost it off of turn 7.
Yeah, he's. I'm looking at this 7, and I'm thinking that he might be the strongest car out there right now. It's 84. My gosh.
Is that first gear into second gear, Blake, that wheel spin?
It very well may be. I can tell that they're getting down into the gears pretty evenly, and it looks like we have another car off into the dirt. Or maybe just recently removed from the dirt. I don't know. But, the way that these gears work, you're gonna smoke something up each time that you make a shift, and if you don't have the tires balanced right, well, it's gonna smoke.
We've seen plenty of it. Shane Sines is kind of quietly sitting in 3rd right now, has yet to pit. I'm keeping my eye on this battle up front. I wonder if Ogo is just kind of intentionally hanging out behind the 84, knowing that he's able to save his rear tires better that way, and that the 84 is really eating up his.
2 comes into the pit, 10 comes into the pits.
Oh, yep. Third place and fourth place runners at that point are now on to pit road. Amoito will now be third, still staying out on the racetrack.
And the 7 right on the 84 as we have bumper. He's going to slide to the inside as we head into the bus stop chicane.
Oh, that ain't gonna work, boys.
Well, I mean, if you want to push it more aggressive and maybe get some bumps, maybe. And the 16, unfortunately, has retired, so another car out of today's race.
I think trying to make that pass there in the carousel is more about trying to make Roger Ray take the corner faster than he wants to and run it wide. It's more about trying to make the other driver make a mistake than actually trying to make the pass yourself as Ogo goes a little wide.
7 goes wide, but he does keep it together, so the good news is there, he kept it together.
And barely so. There's not much grip on that grass, but that is going to cost him maybe a couple tenths, which in the long run might not hurt him too much. I got to think that we're getting close to seeing these guys come onto pit road, because even if the pit window is what we think it is, you would think that probably the best course would be to maybe split it in half.
Yeah, definitely. And with how many turns they are, how many gear shifts, everything like that. And, well, we've obviously seen a lot of smoked up tires. How long these tires can last? Well, even the best tire savers eventually have to get rubber shortly.
I'm trying to figure out the strategy here too of a number of those that we saw come to pit road.
And both of them come into the pits. 7
yeah, so does this mean that the fuel window maybe is a little less than we originally expected? Because if we've got our race leaders coming down pit road here on lap 10, this says to me that probably these drivers are all going to have to come to pit road at least one more time before the conclusion.
This might be a two-stopper. I mean, with how much longer this track is, and the fact that they're really revving those engines when they're spinning the tires, that would not surprise me. So we may have miscalculated a little bit. This might actually be a two-stopper. But now, as the 36 also joins them on pit road, Tristan Allen will also join them. So Dylan Schwallenberg, we'll see how this strategy plays out for him. Pitted like 5 laps ago.
And the last 4 laps, he has run anywhere from half a second to 7/10 quicker than what the race leaders were running with that fresh rubber.
But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get back up there. And the 84 has actually significantly gapped the 7, who has a pretty good gap on the 51. So Schwallenberg now third, pretty much roughly where he was. Ogo second, looks like maybe a second and change behind the 84, but we saw how the 7 was able to reel in the 84, and if those guys get to battling, we know that Schwallenberg has the ability to get back up there. Shane Sides. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The thing that boggles my mind is as I look through the field, is just how spaced out the field is now. Like, I mean, we do have a potential that the 7 can reel in the 84, and a host of other drivers can get closer. That much is a given, but I'm just kind of wowed at the distance at the moment.
And to piggyback off of that, too, with how spaced out they are, it makes you wonder if indeed they are going to have to come down pit road a second time for the conclusion of this race. Would short pitting gain you anything? Because right now, I think the closest battle we've got, as you mentioned, Andrew, about 1.3 seconds from Roger Ray back to Austin Ogo. I mean, maybe something can be gained there by the 7, but for everybody else, it's almost like you might have to have something astronomical take place here on the final pit stop to be able to pick up a couple of positions before the end.
I mean, anything is possible, but I mean, Schwallenberg pitted so much earlier than those guys, and I mean, granted, he did have that little bit of a spin, but it looks like he's pushing as hard as he can, and I just don't think that he's gained much. So I almost wonder if the short pitting strategy is even worth it at this point, as Schwallenberg looks like he's really going for it, but Shane Sides reeling him in with a 150.7 for Shane Sides. That is now the fastest lap of the race.
Well, and there's another piece to this as well, as drivers get more and more aggressive. Obviously, we know the answer to this. If one person makes contact with another person, that does not bring out a yellow. So that can obviously disrupt someone's day. But saying and possibility that everyone's tires end up wearing out and they all bunch up back together. We haven't seen a caution yet. That does not mean that a caution is impossible, however.
Yeah, very, very true there. I mean, we know that these guys are going to be going for that spot at Homestead, but at the same time, remember, I mean, yeah, not only would it not be a caution, but it's still a strike, and you have to give the spot back. So if you spin out a guy and he gets stuck in the gravel, you got to wait for him to come back and pass you, which could cost you probably 30 some odd seconds, possibly.
Interesting too, if you look at the remaining drivers out on the track, 10 in total, 8 playoff contenders, 2 drivers that are subbing for playoff contenders. So I mean, it's going to be interesting that not a whole lot is really going to change in terms of the playoff standings. Obviously, we're guaranteed that a playoff contender is going to win here tonight and more than likely advance their way into the Final Four. But I mean, if you look at the scenario of all of these playoff contenders more than likely still being within striking distance of each other, heading into 2 fuel strategy type tracks with 120 laps in length, Chicagoland next week and then Atlanta the following week. I mean,
look at this.
That makes things pretty interesting.
Speaking of interesting, side by side up the S's. Schwallenberg and Shane Sides. They got
That's
awfully
going to
close.
relent.
And they got awfully close there.
Wow. To briefly piggyback off of what you were just saying there, Seth, because I saw a little bit of smoke dust up. No one's wrecked. The thing about the upcoming races is, as you mentioned, side-by-side battle for that position. Shane Sides to the inside, and 51's going to clear him. The next few races, we've got Chicagoland, which is 1.5 miles, Atlanta Motor Speedway, 1.5 miles, Tri-County Motor Speedway, a small short track, and then the 2-mile race course of Michigan. And then, obviously, season ends with 1.5 miles at Homestead. Minor contact between the 2 and the 51.
No, Schwallenberg. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He is going to defend that position with his life, but he runs a little bit wide. That's going to give the spot to the 2. Debatable.
If I was
Brad's back there saying, hey, keep racing it up. I'll make it a 3-man fight for 3rd place.
As they both smoke the tires, 51 a little bit more.
LePrade is licking his chops back there thinking, hey, that's some more points for me. Schwallenberg, I mean, remember, he and Tyler Mallon, and Austin Ogo for that matter, have the point advantage from being multi-time winners over Shane Sides, who did not have a win, and it looks like Sides might get him here.
He'll have the better exit out of turn 1, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Cross him over, perhaps?
Oh boy.
Oh my
man.
Goodness.
I think the 51's going to have to give there.
Yeah, but it ain't over. Schwallenberg's been the most aggressive through the bus stop, so if he's still within striking distance, he might put a charge up for 3rd place again.
Ooh, he does have a bit of a run there. Sides, though, with a great move. See if the 51's able to do something here.
As I look back up at the front, we got the 54 and the 7 going like they're racing V8 supercars, just launching themselves off the rumble strips.
Schwallenberg, what a move through the carousel.
Crossover tip by right on his rear.
Bump and run almost. This is for 3rd.
And this is at a road course.
For 3rd at a road course, and still a fairway to
go! Wow! My goodness! Oh my gosh!
This NR Gran Turismo.
That was incredible. He drives it a little hard there. Incredible job by both those drivers.
British touring cars. Oh, they smacked the wall.
Uh-oh. That was a funky shift from Schwallenberg. I almost wonder if I wonder if Schwallenberg may have just lost 2nd gear.
I will keep an eye on that. No, he totally does have 2nd gear. Just possibly a misshift.
Yeah, he had a bit of a funny shift coming out of that corner there. Now LePrade might be able to jump on him, but there goes Sides. Unleash now. Checking back up at the front, though, as we take 11 laps to go. Roger Ray has now just turned... Well, I was about to say the fastest lap of the race up to that point, but Ogo just matched him with a 50.3. And yeah, those were both the quickest laps of the race so far.
And Ogo closing in on the 54. I mean, like we all know, Ogo's a tire saver. Could be, just maybe, Ogo's done it again and managed to save just enough because he is flying up to the 54.
Really surprises me too that they ran those lap times 5 laps into their run. So normally you end up seeing when the tires warm up maybe 2 or 3 laps into a run those fast lap times laid down. Really perplexed that they were able to run that fast on 5-lap-old tires, especially given the wear that we've seen drivers get, especially with those rear tires through the boot.
We got a race shaping up here for the lead. Shout out to Nick in the chat. Good to see you, man. That is an awfully late class that you got there. And yeah, I got my start in any kind of racing on Gran Turismo, so that is a pretty cool deal. I was going to make a point, and then I forgot it. Oh, yeah. To what Blake was saying about how Ogo is able to save his tires, I got to think that if he is able to make it to Homestead, I got to think that he's the favorite, because if it's the same version...
Wow!
That was a burnout right there. If he's able to make it to Homestead, and if Homestead is the same version as last season, I got to think that he's the favorite, because... that is a track where tire wear is a major part of the equation.
Yeah, the one thing that's very true about Ogo, don't count the man out. So, the way that I see it is that Homestead can be a favorite for a lot of people. As it kind of goes, it's a very, very fast mile and a half that, provided you have the right tires on underneath you, you can really get around that racetrack pretty quickly. The big question is if we have a lot of green flag racing, well, are your tires going to be there with you at the end?
Yeah, that's... I don't know how much some of these guys' tires are with them. Schwallenberg nearly gave the bumper to the 74, but 74 has gotten by him now. So Don LaPrade on a very solid run here in 4th place at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good thing LaPrade's sponsored by Tide.
Whoa! Ogo!
Clean his shorts.
Oh, no go.
Oh!
Wow, that is a hard hit into the tires.
He lost it coming out of the carousel on the rear end. Yep, that's that tire barrier.
Well, he not only hit the tire barrier, but when he went off the racetrack in the first place, he went up an embankment, hit the steel guardrail, and then backed it into the tire barriers. There was no way to save that. And man, oh man, I know that Watkins Glen is not necessarily an aero-dependent track, but I'll simply say this much. It helps if your back end is together.
And the worst part for him right there is he was on a downhill, so it doesn't matter how much you're on the brakes. When you're in that slippery grass, invariably you're going to slide down into those tires.
And that sliding probably also hurt his tires. Of course, he lost several seconds in the process. So, Roger Ray... oh, my gosh. He just locked up the rears by the looks of it. That car is not happy.
And the one thing that's a little unfortunate, just in terms of the age of the game and everything like that, is that there really is no way mid-race to be able to adjust your brake balance. So, depending on how you drive... and considering that this is a fixed setup, that's another part of this too. You can't adjust your brake balance mid-race. If it is a heavy front braking car, you're stuck with that. If it's a heavy rear braking car, you're stuck with that. You cannot make changes on the fly to suit your driving style, unfortunately, which is what makes it even more heartbreaking that Ogo's got the damage that he does, probably has just worn out the tires, and the brakes are not going to fare much better either.
And the tough thing there for Austin Ogo as well, and I see this time after time after time at road courses, if you have an early issue, you've got the whole rest of the race to be able to mount a bit of a comeback. But when you have an issue like this that's near the end of the race, more than likely you're not going to be able to gain back the ground that you lost.
And he lost a considerable amount of time. The lead is almost 10 seconds. Roger Ray is cruising right now. I'm sure that, no one wants to see that happen. But I think Ray might be breathing a small sigh of relief going, oh, okay, now I can cruise a little bit.
But credit to Ogo. I mean, he's still out there running. He did not come to pit road, damaged and all. He still held second place ahead of Shane Sides. So, if he can finish this thing out with a runner-up position after that car is basically wrecked, I mean, that would be a tremendous job by Austin Ogo, and certainly give him some confidence heading into the mile-and-a-half tracks, because it'll keep him up there in the points.
Along with that point bonus that he had from those 2 wins. I do want to just mention that really quick. I wanted to mention this at some point. Just how competitive this series is, because in the 10 race regular season that we had, seven different winners, and only 3 of them were multi-time winners, and they were only 2 winners, or 2 wins, excuse me, apiece. So a really, really competitive season. It has been a lot of fun to watch. There has not been a single race that I would consider boring, I guess you could say, by viewing standards. This one's probably the most boring so far, and it has certainly had its fair share of excitement. So let that say something, as Ogo's going to spin again in the bus stop. Oh, it just nudges that barrier too. But that is going to cost him even more.
Look out!
He doesn't hit sides. Woof. Now this is where Ogo's going. Thank goodness for those 20 points. He just lost 2 more spots. Sides and LaPrade.
Update too. Another of our playoff contenders has had issues, not due to wrecking, but due to connection problems. 2 laps ago, Dejan Weeks disappeared off the screen between turns 9 and 10, has yet to get back into the server. So right now, 2 laps down, now 3 laps down in the 10th position.
And that is not what Weeks needs, because he does not have any point advantage to fall back on. So Dejan Weeks might be going into these next few races in a bit of a hole, as we see a bit of a okie dokie. I'm just going to keep calling it that because it's fun. Tristan Allen letting Tyler Mallon go by. Tyler Mallon has just been quietly just hanging out, pretty much. Probably just trying to get through the road course race, and then we'll see the full strength of that 18 car on the oval tracks. But still running solidly, 52.2. That last lap is their quickest lap of the race thus far.
Roger Ray is in from the race lead with 7 to go.
Shane Sides also coming in.
Pits.
I will note that I saw it. You saw it happen on stream. I did not call it out, but Dylan Schwallenberg has pitted a couple laps ago, actually.
And Austin Ogo is going to stay out.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
kind of interesting there. But hey, figuring hey, I've got nothing to lose at this point. Why not?
Well, nothing left to lose, I suppose. The white flag flies on lap 25, so
Why not?
it's gonna be a stretch. I highly doubt this, but what if? Just saying, what if somehow the 2 manage to save just enough that this is the race-winning strategy? It's highly unlikely.
Ooh, look at this. Coming off of pit road, 74-2. Side by side. Sides is going to yield for now. But these 2 coming off really close together. This will likely end up being the battle for second. And LaPrade actually let him have it back.
Yep.
But hello, Schwallenberg!
51.
Ooh,
Right
actually
on
gonna
the
get to his
lead.
bumper!
Wow. Oh,
Golly,
boy.
he forced that in there.
Well, I can definitely say this. I think the 51, he's driving like a bat out of hell. It's been a rough race for him. He's wanting to get redemption. He's wanting to get those positions back. He's wanting to give himself somewhat of a cushion to get back into the points here. But man, he's really making some moves to try and get there.
That was a very, very aggressive move. He just stuffed it. That's all you could say. He outright stuffed it. Now, to what you were saying there, Blake, if Ogo pulls off the miracle of stretching it, I will call him Oscar Ramos, because I think we're on. I think some of us remember that lights race from a season or 2 back. Nope, he will not.
Nope. Ford Mustang crushed into a Ford Pinto. He's going into the pits.
Pretty much.
Well, I think I might have an idea why he stayed out, though. Because up to this point, Roger Ray had led 14 laps, Dylan Schwallenberg had led 4. Ogo hadn't led a lap yet, so he wanted that bonus point, I think.
And he will probably lead that lap, so if that bonus point system is still in effect, which I believe it is, That is now a lap led.
I will double check that. I will be completely honest. I believe it is more based off of finishing position, not on laps led.
Ooh, battle here. Schwallenberg and LaPrade. LaPrade saying, hey, I don't appreciate that move. I'm going to get that back from you. I don't think that Schwallenberg is going to take that laying down, though. Look at him diving on the outside of the corner.
He didn't take it laying
Whoa.
down. He went to the outside to make it.
He went to the outside of outside. He's not going to yield to
Almost
LaPrade.
made contact in the S's last time around, and I don't think Schwallenberg's going to be close enough just yet to make a move. But watch out here for the bus stop, because as I said, Schwallenberg's been the one that drives it in the deepest, it seems.
This is definitely his strength. Some of these high-speed corners. Oh my gosh, oh
man!
That's as hard as you can ask for.
He hit him!
Spin the
He
74.
hit him!
Oh no!
How is the gentleman's rule going to apply here now?
I mean, if the rule stands the way that they said it would,
Oh, the
Schwallenberg has to
74 has
stop.
gone kaboom.
Oh, race over for the 74. I don't think he's gonna have some very pleasant words for the 51. Who now is racing the 7.
So I'm hearing right now that if the 51 is at fault, which it looks like just based looking back on the replay that he was, if the 74 cannot continue, it's a drive-through penalty for the 51 car.
Oh man.
Oh, boy.
Well, I didn't think that he was gonna try it that hard, but he did, and just a little too aggressive. I think that's all that can be pinned on right there. But hey, it's Schwallenberg. That's his style, and it's gotten him to the postseason, despite only making the bare minimum number of starts. So, and
51
The
does
last
make the
thing you want to
move.
do is you don't want to end up ticking off your fellow playoff contenders, because let's say they don't advance into the Final Four and you do, they may choose Homestead, the season finale, as the place to exact their revenge with a championship on the line for you.
I will merely say this line: Kenseth cleared by Logano, maybe no.
He may have won the battle, but he hasn't won the war.
And Truex didn't do much about that.
And the
I'll shut
74 coming into the pits looking like Steve Park's Wheeler Modified back in the 90s.
Oh, Blake Warren, Mr. Reference Extravaganza.
That's a tough break there for LaPrade, who actually was coming off a road course victory at Circuit of the Americas. Had a win there on Saturday night.
Yeah, he's had some ups and downs. I've talked to him recently. He is one of those guys that he gets very hard on himself whenever something doesn't quite go his way, and I'm sure that he is probably fuming in that helmet, knowing him. And I almost wonder if we should have an interview with him, if he won't go after Schwallenberg too much. Which I don't think you can fully blame him.
Through, by the way.
Yep.
And I do wish to give a note of it. The 74 is not out. He is in the pits. He is getting repairs. They have probably cut off the engine, but he has not dropped off the racetrack yet. So he still has power, just not much.
I mean, if he can grab another position or two, that's that'll help him out. But right now, Roger Ray, 20 seconds, almost 20 seconds with 4 laps to go. You're Watkins Glen, and I think at this point he's just got to do his thing. Pretty much putts around.
Yeah, crawl.
Yeah, just make
Keep
it home.
it on the racing surface. That's all he's got to do right now.
The lone dodge, and the lone dodge in the playoffs, no less. Winner at Brazil, now looking to win the only road course race of the season. It's looking pretty good for him. Just got to keep it clean. Shane Sides currently running second in the number 2 car. That's what he needs to help out his point situation, but a good clean run for him no less. And Austin Ogo, despite, it's just like Blake said, turning it from a Mustang to a Pinto, still up in 3rd. And with all that carnage, That has moved the 36 Minotton Amoito up to 4th.
How about our broadcast colleague there? I've been watching him, and he has not had any issues here today. He has kept that thing on the racing surface. He did have that one spin, but he didn't hit anything. And to your point, he's just kept himself in there, and right now poised for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, Nick knows exactly what I'm talking about. Caution comes out and the crowd roars. And yeah, with that, I mean, we mentioned Tyler Mallon just kind of quietly, kind of hanging toward the back here tonight, but with all that going on now, running in the 5th position. Again, another deal that could actually, I mean, aside from Roger Ray winning, might put him in a very comfortable point situation. There's LaPrade, still going, currently in 9th.
There were drivers that saw Watkins Glen as the first playoff race. Some of them circled it and wrote next to it, win situation. Others circled it and just put down the simple word, survive.
Some guys definitely looked at this race and went survive. Others went, it's time to go for kill. I'm just noticing the gap between the 74 and the 51. I would certainly hope that the 74 doesn't wait on him.
Oh boy.
And try something like that. I mean, if he does, obviously that's going to be detrimental because intent wrecking in any league that you look at across the spectrum is going to look at that and go, no. That's not, we ain't going to do that here.
One thing that I was going to say is Ray's got such a lead now with 20 seconds over. Make himself a sandwich, maybe have himself a martini. He'd still be leading this thing.
I don't think he's quite old enough to have a martini.
I think there's a porta potty off turn 7 if he wants to take a leak. I think he's got time for that too.
Oh. And Henry Nova just popped in the chat, and the reason he retired, because when he pitted, he sped.
Oh.
And he decided, okay, well, enough of that.
Time to go home.
Yep. I mean,
here
you're
we
on a
go.
good run, though, man. I'm bummed that happened to you. I'm kind of bummed to see you retire there, but hey, hopefully we'll be able to see you at Chicagoland. Roger Ray taking 2 laps to go. You're at Watkins Glen.
No incident there between the 51 and 74. LaPrade moved drivers left, allowed the 51 to go around, so no follow-up incident after their contact over in the S's, or actually rather over the bus stop.
No good on him. That is definitely, I mean, again, if he tried to retaliate during the race, obviously sides would look at that, and that would probably ruin his playoff hopes, because possible suspension or even ban for the season. We might have a bit of a battle shaping up here. Mallon is closing on Amoito, who had a pretty slow last lap there of a 54. And that time around, Mallon just turned his fastest lap of the race, almost 2 seconds faster than Amoito, so we might have a battle shaping up for 4th between these two of the more aggressive drivers. So that could be interesting.
Now, I'm sure that the answer is that he's going to move out of the way. Hopefully no incident will come about, but the 63 is getting ready to go a lap down, and Roger Ray right on his rear. I hope the 63 can keep it together.
Yeah, Tristan Allen is, knowing him as a driver, he usually keeps it pretty clean, pretty respectable, so I would probably expect to see that out of him there.
And he's only in as a sub-driver as well, so really wouldn't gain him anything to try and slow up the race leader.
Coming up to the second to last corner, as Roger Ray is coming up to the white flag. I almost wonder if Ray is saying, "Nah, I'm not even gonna risk it. I'm just gonna stay behind you, buddy. You're all good." White flag at Watkins Glen. Roger Ray looking for his second win of the season and win number 1 of the playoffs.
63 concedes position, so
Officially goes by right there. So good on Tristan Allen. Then it looks like an 8th place finish for that 63. We'll see if Alexander Gonzalez will be able to get back in that car come Chicagoland, and we'll see what he'll be able to do. It looks like the gap maybe kind of stabilized a little bit between the 36 and the 18. I almost, knowing Amoito, as a fellow broadcaster, I almost wonder if maybe he's slowing up on purpose just to give us a show.
I mean, if it ends up being a battle of position that ends up being decided by 1/1000th of a second, I'm probably going to hop out of my skin.
I would take that. Yeah. Why would I not be surprised if that would be something that he would actually do?
How about Roger Ray? Picked up that win back at, I believe it was Rio.
Yep.
And he is going to, after 2 weeks of not being in the car, he's actually going to win the first playoff race, advance into the Final Four for the playoffs. Potentially, of course, as we mentioned, there's a possibility we could end up having 5 playoff contenders win the 5 playoff races, in which that would all come down to statistics as the 4 that advance. But, I mean, this is the first step.
This is absolutely a massive step in that direction. Just 2 more corners to navigate. In obviously going to be the biggest margin of victory on the season, and probably the most boring race of the season, and that's saying something because this was a pretty fun race to watch. But the lone dodge, the credit to number 84, to the checkered flag, and Roger Ray wins it and will clinch his way to Homestead.
That battle for 4th, it's closing up here in the final couple of corners.
Ooh, yeah, it is, and oh my gosh, he just slowed up big time there, did Amoito? Don't know if he overdrove it. Shane Sides will finish 2nd. Austin Ogo will be 3rd. Battle for 4th is not over. I kind of feel like these 2 are giving us a show, and hey, I appreciate it. But how close are they willing to make it? Ooh, Malin to the inside. Big block. Oh man, great block there. Amoito will hold on to 4th with Malin 5th. Great little battle there to wrap it up. Schwallenberg, after that incident with the 74, had his struggles, drifting it through the final corner. Gunnar emerged 6th. Still going to get some points. Still looking to make his way to Homestead, which I'm sure if he does, he will be a major threat. Dunlop Pratt will come home 9th. There could have been a little more to be desired for that tied 74, but hey, sometimes it's just how it goes. 7th is Cole Baker, subbing for Robbie Gilvin. And Tristan Allen will finish 8th.
And by the way, that battle for 4th heated up because Natana Miedo brings the 36 home in 4th place with no 2nd gear.
Oh, that's why he slowed. Oh, shoot. Okay. And 2nd gear is a pretty bad gear to be missing at this track. So that's why he slowed up. Okay. That explains a lot. But that was a lot of fun, though.
Like the 51 might have actually had no 2nd gear either. So,
yeah,
2nd gear was hard to come by here today, it seems.
I mean, hey, that is a common thing to happen on a road course. This game is realistic in that regard, where if you like shift funny, like if you hit the throttle in a certain way when you're shifting, or even just sometimes it's just random happenstance that a gear will just go and that's that. So, but congrats to Roger Ray though. We got a number of drivers already getting into the waiting room here. I'm gonna poke Roger first and see if he would like to be interviewed first, and then we'll get to everyone else who would like to get some words out there to TV land. I mean, all in all,
I'm just going to touch real quickly again here on the possibility of the loss of 2nd gear for some of these drivers. Again, as I said, a lot of drivers here used to running the 7-turn configuration of Watkins Glen, not running the boot, and so had to take that practice, get used to. Do you want to take that corner and shift down to 2nd or shift down to the lower gear of 1st, and maybe the unknowing of which gear it's better to be in all those corners might have led to Natana Miedo as well as Dylan Schwallenberg losing 2nd gear.
And how much they're really pounding through those gears through those low speed corners. So Yeah, that's a fair point. This track was awfully uncharted territory. Roger Ray has requested an interview. Seth, if you could please do the honor, because I
User was moved
do
to
not
your
have the ability
channel.
anymore. There's race winner, Roger Ray. Looking like you've pretty much all but clinched your way to Homestead already. Win on a road course, second win of the season. How you feeling about that one?
It's pretty good. I I was just smooth all race. Didn't get any cautions, didn't get anything, and I just ended up winning. But some stuff happened on the way there that, you know.
Yeah, there was a lot of moments there. Definitely a little bit of luck for you, but I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you drove a fantastic race.
Uh,
I can actually look and see here. You had the second fastest lap of the race, so you drove fantastically. I will ask you though, just how much of an unknown it was coming into this version of Watkins Glen as compared to what you might be used to.
it's definitely different. I like at the start of practice, I was absolutely nailing the NASCAR portion of the track, and then when I hit the boot, I was struggling for grip. But eventually, I figured that out. But yeah, that was definitely an unknown.
You did absolutely fantastic. I would say that you are. I'm going to probably place a bet and say that you will have the largest margin of victory on the season once it ends. So, great job, great driving. Any closing thoughts from you?
Uh, I guess I have to thank NR for what happened to Schwallenberg. That really sucks. I guarantee you, what happened to if he didn't blow second gear there, he probably would have won the race by like an even bigger margin, I bet. And Ogo, I wish I was betting with Ogo too, because he was right on me the whole race. He was definitely faster than me at some points. So, yeah, but that's just how it is sometimes.
This is how it goes. But hey, you got the W. You got a pretty clean road to Homestead ahead of you. Definitely hope to see you in the races between now and then, and best of luck to you in that regard.
Sorry for making a snoozer.
Nah, that was fun. It wasn't a snooze. Well, it was a snoozer by this season's standards, but by normal standards, it sure as heck was not. A great job, though, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Roger Ray, race winner, win number 2 on the season. Again, just proving how competitive of a season it has been. Seth, we got 3 guys waiting down there. I will let you take your pick on who we do next.
Oh, why don't we go in order here? We'll go 4th place driver Natan Amiedo, our broadcast colleague.
Let's go for it.
User was moved to your channel.
Natan Amiedo, 4th place finisher there. Heard that you
Disconnected from your
lost.
channel.
Heard that you lost second gear. I was actually suspicious that you intentionally slowed to give us a battle with Malin for the broadcast, but no, man, you just kind of were quiet all race. You never really had anything happen to you except for one little mishap there that I saw at least, and then missing the gear, but you still finished 4th. I'll just ask you what it felt like from your perspective.
Well, we talked a few days ago. I was not very. I didn't feel really good about this race. I was just looking for a solid points day for the playoffs. Tried making no mistakes. Actually had a small spin out in the, I think, lap 8. I believe that was it, but no biggie. No damage to the car or anything. I lost second gear on like lap 19, so it was. I had a cool ride, before that. Car was just very good, I just couldn't make speed out of it. But yeah, I was trying my best not to have a battle with Tyler actually, and it happened in the last 4 corners, I think, but it was very respectful and all of that. I obviously had a slow car at that point. But yeah, I'm actually happy, with the result. P4, it's a very decent result in a track that I didn't feel really good. I'm really looking forward to Chicago and Atlanta, and I hope to give you guys a show there, because tonight I was definitely out there in the back Just trying to keep everything in shape and try to capitalize on everybody's else. Misunfortunate, like Dylan lost the gear, Dan crashed his car. So much happened tonight. But just looking forward for next week.
And we're looking forward to seeing you out there. Before we let you go, we'll see if you got any closing thoughts for everyone in TV land.
Everyone in what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
You're good. Any closing thoughts for everyone out there on YouTube?
Oh, well, I hope you guys had a little bit of fun tonight. Expect for Chicago and Atlanta because we will have crazy races in there. There's playoff spots on the play, so watch for us. And, well, suicidal moves next week. They are coming, boys.
That's the Natan we know and love. Appreciate your time, man, and great luck next week.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Our broadcast colleague himself, driving the number 36. Who we got next here?
Let's get 5th place, Tyler Mallon.
Let's do it.
User was moved to your channel.
So Tyler Mallon finishing 5th. A little bit of a end of race battle there with the 36. I told him that I thought he had actually slowed up intentionally to give us a battle on TV. But
why would Natan ever slow down?
Fair point. But another case where it was just really, really a quiet race for you. Didn't see you up there too much, but you kept it in a straight line, and you came home 5th as a result. How do you feel about that, and how'd it go for you?
Well, I'm really not much of a road courser. A lot of people can probably attest to that. But I'm really happy with the top 5 after after being so worried about this track for a while. Really, a really uneventful race actually. I wasn't around anyone for most of it actually. The only time I was when I was catching up to Dejan because I think he went off, and at the end with Natan. So that was a really close finish, and happy with the P5. So.
Yeah, that was. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you may, because I actually don't have much to say.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Just go.
Two people that don't know what they want to say.
Well, I have one thing to say though. In Chicago and Atlanta, Tyler, we need to give them a show, man.
Oh boy.
Probably.
I can only imagine what that means.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that.
Natan's gonna end up in the catch fence, and I'm gonna finish first. That's gonna happen.
I think it will be the opposite, but yeah, I'll take that.
Oh, you two or something else.
Go in the catch fence, Natan. At least face a direction where we kind of use like a catch fence cam off of your car.
Yeah.
That actually sounds good, but you know what? P1 and wrecking Tyler sounds better, so I'll take that. Second option right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to see someone end up in the catch fence. It will either be the 36 or the 18. Tune in next
Or
week
me.
to find out.
Double the number, but half
sides.
the driver. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
Okay. We'll see it.
And I was referring to half the the number, double number. That had nothing to do with you guys driving. You both are fantastic drivers, albeit very aggressive. But no.
That's why. That's the point right there. That's why we are great.
I've been working on doing more give and take lately, so hope that's.
Well, I mean, hey, if you guys adopted that mentality in that battle right there, Tyler, you would have freaking dumped Natan.
Yeah, I would have probably sent him, but I try not to do that. So I feel like my biggest strength in these races is not messing up. So that's what that's what I've usually been going for, and I'm not really showing my full speed until the end of the race. So.
I'm sure you both will be major threats at Chicagoland. We're looking forward to it. But Tyler, though, appreciate your time. And any closing thoughts from you?
Not really, no.
No, appreciate your
I wish
time.
this were full season points. That's my closing thought.
Nah, that doesn't make for good TV.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes. But hey, appreciate you though.
Thanks.
User was moved out of your channel. User was moved out of your channel.
And one final driver waiting there. Let's see.
User was moved to your channel.
Yep, there is Don LaPrade. Had a good run going. A little bit of a skirmish, and you ended up 9th. You did have the 10 bonus points though coming into this. But I will ask you though, just well, how the race was going for you, and well, aside from the obvious.
Yeah, race was really good. The main objective going into this race was to, stay out of trouble. That's really my objective the whole race. And I mean we were guaranteed a top 5 there at the end. I mean, with Olgo spinning out and Dylan having issues with his second gear, look like I felt like that we were gonna get a solid top 5 finish out of it. Third place. But going into the bus stop, I braked a little bit early. That's what I've been doing the whole race. Is I try not to. I know that in the drivers' meeting they were, very. They mentioned they were going to be very strict about, cutting part of that bust off. So I was trying to make sure that I wasn't going to do that. And I braked a little bit early to be cautious, and he braked later than I did. And we both collided. I mean, he's racing for the championship as well, and he's always, he's fast. So I can't say I blame him for racing that way. I mean, if I was in the same position as he was of being that fast, I would have tried to do the same. But it's just unfortunate we both made contact, because that was going to be a really good battle between he and I. But it just didn't turn out the way we wanted to. Just stinks that we ended up finishing off the race with a 9th place finish. I mean, we should have been 4th or 3rd, but I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things that one person did one thing, the other person did the other, and bad things happened. We both collided, and around I went. So, I can't really say I blame him, and I can't say I blame myself either. It's just, not mad at him or anyone or myself. Just unfortunate. But we still got a long ways to go. We got, I believe, it's Chicagoland next week, so feeling pretty good about that. But right now, all I'm trying to do is trying to, stay out of trouble. I didn't do that today, so I failed my objective there. But we'll get them.
Not really much of your own doing there, but honestly, that's really good to hear, though. I mean, it just sounds like kind of one of those water under the bridge types of things, and that's obviously what we all want to see, except for those rednecks out there who are probably like, when he was lapping you, you should have ranked him or something. But good on you, and that's good to see. I guess we'll go ahead and ask any closing thoughts and what your expectations are heading into the next 4 races.
Well, I expect to be running very well, first of all. And I mean, we got Chicagoland. That's a track I won in lights last season, so I feel confident there. And Atlanta did pretty well over there in lights last season as well, and Michigan and Homestead. So I mean, we have faith. The next 4 races is going to be critical, of course. That's just because we're in the chase. But I think the biggest thing is try to, if all else fails, try to go for the win. Because I guess right now I'm looking like out of the playoffs by 13, I believe, or something like that. I mean, I don't even know. I know that I got a lot of work cut out for me. So the biggest thing for me is try to, like I said, just do the best I can, stay consistent. That's really been what I've been trying to do all season, and sometimes it just fails by the wayside, because of unfortunate things like that happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to these next couple of races, and I mean, if we don't make it in the Final 4 at Homestead, then the best thing we can do is go after the W.
I like that mentality. I appreciate your time, man, and hey, best of luck next week and onward from there.
Yep, thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
Don LaPrade, 9th place finisher. That was, I think that's everyone as far as interviews. A pretty good race, I would say. I mean, despite the large margin of victory, had some pretty exciting moments there. Kept our eyes on everything. We'll get, of course, our closing thoughts from the both of you. We'll start off with Blake.
Well, I'll definitely say this. That was one tussle of a race. A lot of craziness just throughout the entire event. I looked over on Facebook and I saw that Henry actually did some testing after he had gotten his speeding penalty, and there apparently may be a discrepancy between the speeding penalty and what you can actually do. So very unfortunate for him. Like I said earlier, we've got a host of mile and a halves coming up. So for a vast majority of drivers, it's anyone's race. And for anyone who is in the chance to get into the playoffs and everything like that, I would not count out the possibility that similar to earlier in this season, like we saw at Auto Club, the potential that we could be having like 2-3 wide battles in some turns. We could have cars right on each other, nose to tail, and I would say, especially for Chicagoland, potentially a very long green flag run. So there's a lot of properties to these tracks that are very similar. A little bit of a different quality to them, all the same, but I would say be prepared for some insanity when we run Chicagoland next week. And once again, shout out to Roger Ray. Congrats to him on his big win here tonight.
Yeah, congrats to him indeed. And I will, if it's a caution fest next week, I'll know who to blame because you jinxed it. I'm
very fair.
Seth, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first road course points race, and it's the first race of the playoffs. It definitely played its part. There's no doubt about that. Roger Ray with that victory, a driver that now can look towards the next 4 races, maybe just kind of rely on consistency to get him into one of those final 4 spots. But I'm trying to look at these other tracks that we're coming up to, see if there's any similarities back during the regular season. We got Chicagoland next week. Comparison for that would be Las Vegas. Dylan Schmallenberg was the winner there, so are we looking at him as maybe one of those drivers to fill in one of the 3 remaining final 4 spots? And then you got Atlanta the following week. We were at Charlotte in the last race of the regular season where Austin Ogo went to victory lane. So, if we're kind of looking at similarities of tracks, you might be looking at Ray, Schwallenberg, and Ogo. And Blake brought up the great point of Michigan. Even though it is a speedway, 2 miles in length, a lot of people consider it a super speedway. So we can kind of liken it to how Daytona was the regular season finale, and it was kind of a wild card race of who could get in. It could be the same deal with Michigan as to who could maybe get possibly the 4th final spot in the championship 4 at Homestead, Miami. So, I think there's a lot of drivers leaving Watkins Glen. They're looking up to the heavens saying, thank you, there are no more road courses for the season. However, Shane snuck in that little Tri-County Motor Speedway short track in there too, so that might be a place drivers are going to be looking at and be having the survival mentality as well.
Yeah, that's a track that I have not seen before, so I will have to see how that will unfold. But of course, Chicagoland, Atlanta, some tracks that everyone's familiar with. Of course, Michigan as well. So, and then of course the finale at Homestead. I mean, that we broadcasted that last season, I should say. And it put on an incredible show. I just hope that we get something similar to that. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. Definitely looking forward to seeing if you guys can join me for those. And, of course, everyone watching as well. Hope to have you all for that. On that note, though, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you again to Blake and Seth. Always fun having you guys. Another pretty fun race, albeit probably, like I said, the most boring race of the season when it wasn't actually boring, so that says something. It's been a lot of fun. We got 5 races to go in total, and we'll see everyone next week at Chicagoland. Until then, though, thank you, Blake, thank you, Seth, and thank you to everyone for watching.